The Galactic Council's ultimatum arrived on a Tuesday, transmitted through quantum channels that made Earth's most advanced communications look like smoke signals. Ambassador Zex Thul's holographic form materialized in the UN assembly, his crystalline features reflecting the harsh blue light of his ship's transmission array. "Humans," he declared, his voice carrying the weight of 1,000 conquered worlds, "your species will contribute to the great war against the Devourers. You will provide soldiers, 10 million of your finest warriors. This is not a request." Secretary General Martinez stood slowly, her weathered hands gripping the podium. Around her, representatives from every nation watched in tense silence. The alien before them commanded a fleet that could turn Earth to glass within hours. "We understand your position," Martinez replied carefully. "But humanity approaches conflict differently than your species might expect." Zex Thul's translator struggled with human nuance. "You will comply. Your military forces will be integrated into our war machine within one solar rotation." Martinez nodded. "We will send our finest. You have our word." 3 weeks later, the first human transport arrived at Kepler Station, the staging ground for the war against the insectoid devourers, who consumed entire star systems. Admiral Korthval, veteran of 16 campaigns, waited to inspect Earth's contribution to the greatest military endeavor in galactic history. The airlock hissed open, and humans began filing out. Korthval's 4 eyes widened in confusion, then narrowed in rage. Where were the soldiers? These beings carried no weapons, wore no armor. Instead, they hefted strange instruments, canvas bags, and devices that hummed with unfamiliar energy signatures. One human, a female with paint-stained fingers, stepped forward. "Greetings, Admiral. I'm Dr. Sarah Chen, representing Earth's Cultural Deployment Initiative." "Cultural deployment?" Korthval's voice rose to a screech that echoed through the docking bay. "Where are your warriors? Your weapons of war?" Sarah smiled, the expression somehow both gentle and terrifying. "Oh, we brought those too. But we've found that the most effective weapon against any enemy isn't what destroys their bodies, it's what changes their minds." Behind her, 10,000 humans dispersed throughout the station. A man with cybernetic hands began composing music that resonated through the station's hull. A group of dancers moved through the corridors, their motions somehow making the sterile, military environment feel alive. Writers huddled in corners documenting everything they saw. "This is absurd," Korthval stormed. "The Devourers will consume us all while your entertainers play games." "Give us 48 hours, Sarah requested. "If we fail, we'll leave quietly." The attack came at dawn, station time. Devourer scout ships materialized from hyperspace, their biomechanical hulls pulsing with organic hunger. The first wave struck the outer defenses with characteristic brutality. The Devourers fought as they lived, consuming everything in their path. But something was different this time. As Devourer boarding parties breached the station's hull, they encountered not panicked soldiers but humans who began performing. A violinist stood in a corridor filling with hostile aliens, playing Bach's Air on a G-string, while emergency klaxons wailed. The Devourers, evolved to recognize only predator and prey, stopped mid-charge. In the engineering section, a breakdancing crew spun and flipped around maintenance shafts while a poet narrated their movements in 17 languages simultaneously. The Devourers' compound eyes tracked the impossible geometries of human motion, their hive-mind consciousness stuttering as it tried to process what it was seeing. The war painter Marcus Rivera had positioned himself on the observation deck, creating a massive canvas depicting the battle in real time. But his painting showed not destruction, but transformation. Devourers and defenders alike becoming something new, something that transcended their nature as predator and prey. Admiral Korthval watched from the command center as his tactical displays registered something unprecedented. Devourer attack patterns were fragmenting. Their ships held position but made no aggressive moves. Individual Devourers aboard the Co. station had simply stopped. "What have your humans done?" he demanded. Sarah Chen stood beside him, watching as a Devourer warrior carefully touched a sculpture made from scrap metal and emergency lighting. We gave them something they've never encountered before, she explained. Beauty without purpose. Creation without consumption. Art. Through the station's communication arrays, human musicians were broadcasting symphonies that incorporated devourer biorhythms. Poets transmitted verses that described the mathematical elegance of hive consciousness. Visual artists projected mandalas that spoke to the devourer's compound vision in ways their species had never experienced. The effect rippled outward through the devourer fleet. Ships that had been moving in perfect formation began to drift, their crews overwhelmed by sensory input that triggered responses their evolution had never prepared them for. Impossible, Korthval breathed. The devourers know only hunger. They cannot be reasoned with, bargained with, or deterred. No, Sarah agreed, but they can be inspired. The tide of the battle, if it could still be called a battle, turned when a devourer drone, its carapace scarred by 1,000 conflicts, approached the human cellist performing in the central plaza. The alien extended one razor-sharp appendage and gently, impossibly gently, plucked a single string. The note that emerged was unlike anything heard before, part human harmony, part alien resonance. It echoed through the station and beyond, transmitted by devourer biocommunication networks to every ship in their fleet. For the first time in their species' history, the devourers created something instead of consuming it. The war ended not with surrender or victory, but with transformation. The devourer's hive mind, exposed to human creativity, began to evolve beyond its predatory origins. They learned to create, to preserve, to build rather than consume. Other species across the galaxy watched in amazement as the greatest threat to galactic civilization became its most passionate defenders, their bioships growing living art installations that spanned light years. Admiral Korthval found Sarah Chen in the station's garden, where devourer biotechnology now grew flowers that sang in harmonies no single species could have imagined. I don't understand how you knew, he admitted. Sarah smiled, watching a devourer child, a concept that hadn't existed a month ago, learn to paint with colors that shifted through spectrums only their eyes could see. Because that's what we do, she said simply. Humans don't just fight wars. We transform them into something else entirely. The galaxy would never be the same, and that, the humans knew, was exactly the point.